What's good, YouTube? It's KB with Just Do Boxing back with another video. And for this video is a little different, man. It's not your typical fight breakdown video, man. But it's a topic that I felt like definitely needed to be discussed over here at Just Do, because that's one thing I do over here, and I try to make sure I do it. I try to give fighters their credit and their just due, and as a spectator, as a supporter of the sport. I get tired of seeing, repetitive questions being asked over and over and over in the media. And by that, I mean, I came across an article recently. This just happened the other day, so it's not old, with SB Nation. Layla Ali did a interview with SB Nation where she sat down and she discussed, the upcoming fights this Saturday, the undisputed fights, and, the potential matchup between Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall. And, she explained how, she's excited for, Taylor and Serrano. She's very excited for them. And, she went on to say, she thinks the winner is going to be, probably looked at as the best female fighter in boxing. And, it's much respect to those women. They putting it all on the line. It's an undisputed matchup. It's coming up tomorrow night. I know they're going to put on. I know that fight is going to deliver. Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. And I have no problem with Layla being excited, for that matchup, because it's if you like boxing and how big that fight is, the magnitude of that fight, have any real boxing fan excited. So I have no problem there. But I really don't have a problem with her saying Shields is going to have trouble with Savannah Marshall, but at the same time, it's like these reporters, man, they constantly dig and they ask these same questions over and over and over again. And basically what I'm meaning is anybody who's been paying attention to boxing understands that Claressa, the Gwoat Shields, and Layla Ali are not the best of friends, obviously, and I think it's a competitive thing to some degree, but I also felt like, the media just played their fair hand in all of this as well. Every time they get a chance, they're going to ask Layla about Claressa Shields, when, I mean, she stated on a number of different occasions how she felt toward her. And it's like you guys, they dig and pry for things that's not there. And my only issue is it's not that she said she feels, Claressa Shields will still have trouble with Savannah Marshall. It's just the lack of respect I feel like Claressa is getting as a whole, as a fighter. And it's not just Layla Ali, but more recently, she has been vocal about Claressa and how she feels Claressa doesn't have what it takes, or she doesn't have anything or the punching power to keep Savannah Marshall off her. And that just remains to be seen. Like, until those two step in the ring and Savannah Marshall shows me that Claressa Shields has nothing for her, there's no way I'm just going to assume a two-time Olympic gold medalist and two-weight undisputed world champion, a world champion, 3 different weight classes, don't have something or don't have enough skill for somebody. And it's like when we speak about the Savannah Marshall versus Claressa Shields fight, for everybody, I have no issue with anybody, rooting for Savannah Marshall or picking her to win. That's not my issue. My issue is the reasoning y'all picking her to win, and you're basing it just solely off power. And if if any boxing fan, any boxer, any trainer, I mean, we all understand all it takes is one punch. But at the end of the day, I believe when you're at the level that Claressa Shields is at, which is obviously shown to be the very top echelon of women's boxing, I truly wholeheartedly believe it takes, and it's going to take, a lot more than just power to beat her. And I truly believe that. And I just feel like, with these reporters, asking, Layla Ali what her thoughts are, it's like she told you over and over again, are you expecting her to change her story? She's not going to do it. And I feel like it's kind of tacky for y'all to keep reaching and, and putting her in a position where she got to critique and be overly critical of Claressa Shields. Now, she's a grown woman. I'm pretty sure she stands on whatever it is she says, but I still believe it's pretty tacky as a reporter to continuously ask, you know, an individual about another fighter, a retired fighter about a current active fighter, and knowing that they're not on the best of terms, you know, you figure anything she says is not going to be much positive anyway, you know. But I got a couple clips that I'm gonna play for y'all in a minute, and you know, I'm gonna let y'all hear those, and then I'm gonna give my thoughts and my take on you know, on the situation. You know, some of these interviews, they were older. I know they weren't up to date, but I believe this is where some of it started from. And I believe one of the main reasons why these two women can't see eye to eye, because they truly competitors, man. They truly competitors, but just on another side of things, and this is no disrespect to Layla Ali, but when she's constantly asked these questions over and over, it you know, it builds a paper trail, and then it starts to come off a certain way, and it starts to sound like, you know, the old great retired fighter doesn't want to pass the baton to the young current rising great women's champion, and that's what it sounds like. You know, to say Claressa doesn't have enough skill and she's too small. I mean, the girl won 2 Olympic gold medals. I mean, just 12 fights. Just 12 fights. She's undisputed in 2 different weight classes and a champion in 3. It's pretty much every time she step in the ring, she make history. And I said this before. Every time, damn near, she step in the ring, she's turning history into her story. And that's simply what she's doing. I mean, every time out is just impressive. None of her fights are close. I mean, let's run it down before I play these clips.
Not even in the same weight class.
We all know Claressa, the Gwoat Shields, is 12-0, 2 KOs. Don't let the 2 KOs fool you. I truly wholeheartedly believe that she would have had that extra minute that the men have, and they fought 3-minute rounds instead of 2. I truly believe she'd get more knockouts. And not just her, it's a few fighters I feel that way about. But let's continue. 12-0, 2 KOs, 27 years. 5'8", reach, fighting on the foot. Michigan. She's an orthodox fighter. Now let's run it down, man. At 27 years old, with just 12 fights, this woman is 154 pound, undisputed. 160 pound, undisputed. 168 pound, IBF and WBC champion. Like, put some respect on her name, as the title says. Her name is her name, and I think it's time for people to put some respect on a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, back-to-back gold medalist. If the amateur record I just looked up today is accurate, 64-1, man, that's unheard of. I mean, name me another fighter that lost 1 amateur fight.
She want to fight,
and that same amateur fight she lost is the same.
She said she
the same fight, right now. You know, the loss that y'all holding on to and hoping that Savannah Marshall could strike lightning in a bottle twice and beat her again. And I truly just don't think that's going to be the case. I'm here to make a bold statement, bold prediction, man. Claressa will completely outclass Savannah Marshall, and she will return to irrelevancy.
They're going to say that I fought an old Layla Ali.
If you disagree, get in the comment section. We can go back and forth. We can argue. It's not just the accolades, man. It's the skill set. You know what I'm saying? You're going to need a lot more than power to beat this girl, and that's just what it is, in my opinion. But let's continue. You know, her pro debut was against a 7-1 opponent with 2 KOs. That was, you know, excuse me, her pro debut was against Franchon Cruz, which that was both their pro debut. Now Franchon Cruz is competing Saturday night for undisputed. You get what I'm saying? So this, and Franchon Cruz, since losing to Claressa Shields, she hasn't lost another fight. She should be 8-1 with 2 KOs. But that's another story for another video. But nonetheless, she's 7-1, 2 KOs, and competing for undisputed tomorrow night. You know what I mean? And her only loss is against Claressa. Let's continue, man. Her second fight was against Sylvia Sabato. She was 15-8. She TKO'd her in 4 rounds in a quick whitewash. Her third fight was against a 4-1-1 Sydney LeBlanc. She beat her by unanimous decision. You know, clean. Fight wasn't even close. Her fourth fight as a professional, she faced a 16-0 champion in Nikki Adler, and she TKO'd her in the 5th to win the fight. You get what I'm saying? Her 4th fight, she fought a female that was 16-0. Then she TKOs her. Then she turns around in her 5th fight, and she beat another undefeated fighter in 17-0-3, Tori Nelson, by unanimous decision. Then she turns around in her 6th fight. She overcame adversity for the first time in her career, being knocked down in the first round by Hannah Gabriels, who was 18-1-1, who's now the heavyweight champion, if I'm not mistaken. And she got up and, you know, shook that off, and she dominated every round after that and won convincingly. You know, it wasn't even close. And Hannah Gabriels is doing great right now in her career. She's I believe, like I said, a heavyweight champion right now. Then you got her 7th fight was against 5-2 Hannah Rankin, who she took to school for 10 straight rounds. You know, her 8th fight, she turned around and fought Femke Hermans, who was 9-1. She got a unanimous decision against her and won every single round. You know, her ninth fight was against unbeaten champion who was talking a lot of mess, who called her out or was talking, you know, like she could beat her 24-0. In her 9th fight, she fought a 24-0 champion in Christina Hammer, who she embarrassed for 10 straight rounds and hurt on multiple occasions. Then the Gwoat turns around in her 10th bout and fights Ivana Habazin, who she beats by unanimous decision as well. And Ivana was 20-3. You get what I'm saying? In her 11th fight, she fought another undefeated fighter in Marie-Eve Decaire, who was 17-0. And she completely outclassed this girl from the opening bell to the last bell. Then in her 12th and, most recent bout, she beat up Emma Kozin, who also was undefeated, 21-0-1, a unanimous decision. She hurt her several times with body shots, hurt her several times to the body. For all these people that's calling her pillow fisted, you ask Emma that. I don't think, from the looks of it, didn't look like there was pillows she was hitting her with. She was hurt, like I said, on multiple occasions with body shots. So, that's just me. And that's in 12 fights. I just had to run this down, had to do this video. I mean, it's like I said, it's not your typical video. Me, I'm not, looking to bash one fighter or another. That's not what I do over here at Just Do. I always give fighters that Just Do their credit. That's why I'm Just Do Boxing. And I just feel like sometimes we got to put things in perspective, man, and just, be real enough with selves to acknowledge greatness when you see it. And in just 12 fights, I mean, the accolades just go on and on. I mean, she went from the Olympics, she medaled twice, back-to-back gold medals, then got in the pros and just tore shit up. I mean, her fights don't even be close. If I'm not mistaken, the girl has lost, one round in her whole career? It was when she got knocked down by Hannah Gabriels. Her fights don't even be close. So, when I hear people say, oh, well, she doesn't have anything for Savannah Marshall. What do you mean she don't have? She got a whole lot for Savannah Marshall. And I just, like I said, it's nothing wrong with people picking Savannah Marshall. But for me, being a true boxing head, I like to hear an explanation or a logical breakdown as to why Savannah would win the fight. That's all. And then when I hear people saying, oh, well, she has a long jab and she has a sneaky uppercut, she has a lot of power. It's really, that's all they say is power. They're not focusing on no skill, no game plan, no strategy, no nothing. It's just power. And it amazes me sometimes that the people that utter some of these ridiculous statements, man, and they just think Claressa just there to be knocked out. They got another thing coming, man. And I just made this video mainly to put some respect on her name. Her name is her name. Call her the Gwoat or don't call her anything. She is, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, she is hands down the best female fighter in the world. Period. Hands down. It's not even close. I mean, her accolades is not just the accolades. Her fights they're not even close, man. They're not even close. So much respect to, Layla Ali. She was a great, she opened the door potentially for fighters like Claressa, but I just hate to see that they're never on the same page. And I get sick of hearing the slight jabs. It seems like people be taking at Claressa or these tacky ass reporters for always trying to put Layla in a position where she has to answer unnecessary questions. It doesn't. Who do you think she would say will win a fight between her and Claressa? Who do you think she would say? But it's like at the same time, I feel like Layla is upset because they've done the same thing to Claressa. Asked her, what she think about Layla or if she would beat her. And Claressa said, of course she'd beat her and she'd knock her out. But that's what she's supposed to say. And I expected Layla to receive that better than, I understand being a competitor, but you're no longer in boxing. And you would expect her to say that. Ain't no fighter supposed to admit that they'd lose to another fighter without it even happening. So that's just my thing, man. That's what this video was all about. It's all about just do and giving the Gwoat Claressa T-Rex Shields her just due because, like I said before, hands down, she's one of the most talent. No, hands down, she is the most talented woman in boxing. She is my absolute number one pound for pound fighter in all of women's boxing, and she even performs better than some of these men. And it's just what it is: her determination, her effort, her will to win, her confidence, her work ethic. You know, everything about Claressa Shields screams the Gwoat, screams greatness. You know what I mean? And that's just something that's you can't overlook. And we got to stop becoming prisoners of the moment and forgetting, you know, what this woman has done since stepping foot in the boxing ring, man. It's been nothing short of spectacular. Like I said, you know, just 12 fights. Look at all the accolades. I mean, and she's just 27 years old. She even jumped over in MMA and she's 1-1 there where she arguably could have been 2-0. That's another story. But, you know, I think she continues to challenge herself. She wants to be great. And not only that, do she want to be great, she puts the work in that would indicate to anybody that's paying attention that she wants to be great, man. And all you could do is support her or salute her or just don't speak on her. And like I said, I get tired of these reporters trying to pit, you know, one of the best women of that time up against the best woman of this time. I think that's tacky and is lame. And I think, you know, Layla Ali at 24-0 and 21 KO, she was great in her own right. But it's a chart up here, and they showed their last, you know, Claressa's last 10 fights and Layla's last 10 fights. And if we're just giving credit where it's due, because I'm not here to tear down or bash any, you know, you would have to say Claressa's what she's done in 12 fights, especially that last 10, if you want to discount the first 2 fights she had, it's been nothing short of spectacular, amazing. And that's just championship bred mentality, man. Her results, she's put the work in and her results has followed. And every time she gets in the ring, she's making history and she's turning history into her story, man. So let me play that clip and I'll get back to y'all later in the video.